Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that helps you cut through all that noise and really get to the core insights you need.
To be truly well-informed.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into something I think almost everyone faces at some point. Those absolutely crucial early days in a new job.
Yeah, that transition period.
Right. Whether it's a huge leadership role or maybe just taking on some new responsibilities, even shifting teams, how you start really does make all the difference. It kind of sets the stage for everything else.
It really does.
And for this deep dive, we're looking at a truly foundational source in the business world. It's Michael D. Watkins' book, The First 90 Days. It's pretty highly acclaimed.
Oh, absolutely. It's hard to overstate its influence, really. I mean, you see it everywhere. Fortune 500 companies, leadership programs across the globe. It's become a standard.
A real cornerstone.
Definitely. And what makes it so powerful, I think, is how it just distills really actionable wisdom. So our mission today, for you listening, is to pull out Watkins' most potent, proven strategies.
Strategies designed to help you learn faster.
Exactly. Accelerate your learning, build up that credibility quickly, and actually deliver results, tangible results, fast. So you're not just, treading water in a new role, but actually thriving.
Okay, let's get into it then. Watkins' big idea, the central one, is that these first 3 months, they aren't just like important.
No.
They're critical. Absolutely critical for long-term success. It's not just about figuring out where the coffee machine is, right?
Right. It's the decisions you make, the relationships you start building, the strategies you begin to form. They set this tone, this trajectory, that's actually quite hard to change later on.
And what's often missed, I think, is just how big an impact this short window has. It seems almost disproportionate.
It really is disproportionate. It functions almost like a crucible, as Watkins calls it, a crucible for leadership development.
A crucible. Wow.
Yeah. And he's spot on. This is when you build momentum, you establish your credibility, or you lose it.
Right. It can go the other way.
It absolutely can. Think of it like laying the foundations for a huge building. If those first few layers, those first courses of bricks are weak or they're misaligned, the whole structure is potentially compromised down the line.
That's a great analogy.
So getting it right from day one, it just dramatically changes your path forward. It's not just about starting strong. It's about building this sustainable platform for everything that comes next.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, so let's dive into phase 1 then. Watkins talks about mindset and the learning curve. First up is this idea of promote yourself. Now, my first reaction is, well, didn't I just get promoted? Isn't that what happened?
Right. That's what everyone thinks.
But he means something deeper, doesn't he? What's the trap here? What do leaders get wrong when they think, okay, new title, promoted myself?
That's a really key point because it's absolutely not just about the title on your door. It's a fundamental internal shift, a mental reorientation. The biggest trap, I think, is bringing your old mental toolkit, your old ways of working to a completely new challenge. You can't lead a whole division if you're still mentally operating like you did as the star individual contributor.
Still trying to do everything yourself.
Exactly. Trying to do it all, being the expert in the weeds. You have to shed that comfort of being the doer and embrace the, frankly, often uncomfortable role of being the strategist.
The one who delegates, empowers.
And thinks systemically, sees the bigger picture. Watkins nails this with the quote, "What got you here won't get you there. Promote yourself." It means letting go of the habits and skills that made you successful before to embrace what's needed now.
That mental shift, I imagine that's tougher than it sounds, especially if you're used to being the one with all the answers.
It's incredibly difficult for many high achievers.
Okay, but even if you make that mental leap, you still can't lead if you don't understand the new terrain, right? And the sheer volume of information, emails, reports, meetings, it can feel like drowning.
Totally overwhelming.
So how does Watkins suggest we actually manage that learning curve without just getting completely swamped?
This is where his concept of a learning agenda is, well, it's a lifesaver. It's not about just passively soaking everything up like a sponge. That's impossible.
Right.
It's a systematic, proactive approach. He advises you to really prioritize understanding key areas, like who are your customers? What do they really need? What about your products or services? What's the core strategy? Where are we trying to go?
And the internal stuff, too.
Absolutely. How does work actually get done around here, the core processes? And critically, the team dynamics. Who are the key players, the influencers? Who holds the informal power?
Okay, so it's structured.
Yes, and the trick is balancing breadth, getting that quick overview with depth, really digging into the most critical challenges or opportunities. The core lesson is learn systematically, don't assume.
Don't assume.
Yeah, your past experience, it's valuable, of course, but assuming it applies directly one-to-one in this new context, that can lead you way off track. It's about asking really good, purposeful questions and actively digging for those unwritten rules.
That makes sense. A systematic learning agenda. Sounds like it brings order to the chaos.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've done that internal work. You're building knowledge.
Yeah.
Maybe you feel ready to, make your mark.
You're itching to go.
Exactly. But Watkins throws up a caution flag here, right?
Yeah.
He warns against a one-size-fits-all approach. Says that's where a lot of leaders stumble.
A huge pitfall.
Which brings us to phase 2. And this tool he developed, the STARS model. This sounds really interesting.
It is. The STARS model is essentially a diagnostic tool. It helps you quickly figure out the specific type of situation you've walked into, because honestly, what works brilliantly in one context could be an absolute disaster in another.
Okay, so what are the STARS categories?
Right, so STARS is an acronym. S is for startup. And that's not just, a tech startup. It could be any new initiative, a new team, a new product line where you're basically building from scratch, defining the vision, putting the first pieces in place.
Got it. What's T?
T is for turnaround. This is where you're brought in to fix something that's broken. A failing division, a project that's gone off the rails. It usually demands quick, decisive action, sometimes tough calls.
Okay.
A is accelerated growth. Here, the challenge isn't fixing failure, it's managing success, but rapid success. Scaling things up quickly without breaking the processes or the culture that got you there. Big challenge is realignment. This is maybe more subtle. It's about re-energizing a team or an organization that's become stagnant, maybe lost its focus or momentum. It often involves shifting culture, getting people pointing in the same direction again.
And the final S?
The last S is sustaining success. Here, you're inheriting something that's already performing well. The job is to preserve those strengths while still making necessary improvements, often incremental ones, to stay ahead.
Wow, okay. Startup, turnaround, accelerated growth, realignment, sustaining success.
Exactly. And the core insight, the really profound thing here, is just hammering home. One size fits all doesn't work, period. You have to diagnose your situation using STARS and then tailor your strategy. It's not just about tweaking things. It might mean a completely different set of priorities and actions.
I can immediately see how that helps focus your efforts. But what's the biggest mistake people make after they diagnose? Do they maybe correctly identify it's a turnaround, but then hesitate to make the tough calls?
That happens all the time, yes. It's human nature, isn't it? To fall back on what feels comfortable or familiar.
Right.
So they might know intellectually, okay, this is a turnaround, I need to be bold. But then they lead as if it's, say, a sustaining success situation. They make small incremental changes when what's needed is decisive, maybe even disruptive action, or vice versa, leading a startup like it's a well-oiled machine already.
So the courage to act on the diagnosis is just as important as the diagnosis itself.
Absolutely crucial distinction.
Okay, so once you've diagnosed with STARS, you understand the landscape. Let's move to phase 3, building momentum and relationships. How do you translate that understanding into, visible results quickly? How do you secure those early wins everyone talks about?
Early wins, they're so vital. Because these initial achievements, they don't just build momentum like pushing a boulder downhill, they build something even more valuable. Credibility.
For you and the team.
Both, absolutely. Yeah. The key is to focus on, as Watkins puts it, problems that matter, where visible progress is possible.
Okay, problems that matter. So not just easy, trivial stuff.
Exactly. Not just ticking boxes. Find significant issues, things people care about, where you can actually demonstrate progress relatively quickly and visibly. Things stakeholders will notice and appreciate.
It sounds like a balancing act.
It is. You're balancing addressing these urgent, maybe high-impact problems with making sure they also align with the longer-term strategic goals you've identified. Watkins puts it simply. Early wins excite people and build your credibility.
Excites people. Creates positive energy.
Totally. Signals confidence, builds goodwill. And that goodwill, that buys you the political capital you'll inevitably need for the bigger, tougher, more complex changes later on.
Makes sense. Okay. Beyond tasks and wins, relationships. Obviously key. Especially the one with your direct boss. What's Watkins' advice there? Is it just about keeping them happy?
It's much more strategic than just keeping the boss happy. He calls this negotiating success. And it's really about proactively building a genuinely productive partnership.
Negotiating success. How does that work?
It means having explicit conversations early on, clarifying expectations, what do they really expect from you, agreeing on what success will actually look like, what are the metrics, understanding their communication preferences, how do they like to be kept informed, do they want details or just the headlines?
So it's a two-way street.
Very much so. The underlying principle is powerful. You can't succeed unless your boss succeeds. Think about that.
Right. Your fates are linked.
Exactly. So it's about managing up effectively, keeping them informed, yes, but also anticipating their needs, aligning your priorities with theirs, and ultimately helping them achieve their objectives, which in turn helps you achieve yours. It creates this foundation of trust and shared purpose.
That partnership sounds like the bedrock. Okay, now let's talk about something Watkins calls alignment. What exactly is organizational alignment? And why does he call misalignment such a huge problem? A silent killer, I think.
Yeah, the silent killer of organizations. It's a strong phrase, but accurate.
How do you even spot it? It sounds subtle.
It often is subtle. Think of it like an orchestra where maybe the violins have sheet music from Mozart, the brass section thinks they're playing Beethoven, and the conductor is trying to lead a jazz improv.
Chaos.
Total chaos, right? That's misalignment. It's when the core components of an organization, its strategy, where it's going, its structure, how it's organized, its systems, processes, technology, and even the skills of its people aren't working together. They're out of sync.
And why is it a silent killer?
Because it's rarely one big dramatic explosion. It's more like a slow, insidious drain. Massive inefficiency, confusion, frustration, duplicated effort, teams working at cross purposes. The system itself seems to fight against the stated goals.
So how do you spot it?
You look for those friction points. Where are things getting stuck? Where is effort being wasted? Are different departments pulling in opposite directions? Does the reward system undermine the strategy? The lesson for leaders is clear. You have to actively diagnose and fix alignment. Systematically ensure all the parts of the organizational engine are pulling together in the same direction, like tuning that orchestra.
Fixing alignment sounds like potentially a massive task, but crucial if it's that damaging. Okay, moving on to phase 4. Expanding your influence. We know you can't succeed alone, so what about building the right team?
Building the right team, it's absolutely foundational. And yeah, it often requires making some tough decisions, especially early on.
What does that process look like?
Well, it involves systematically assessing your existing team members. Who really fits the new direction? Who has the right skills, not just for today, but for where you need to go? Who has the potential to grow?
And then matching talent to roles.
Exactly. Matching the right talent to the right roles. And Watkins advises that if changes are needed, if someone isn't the right fit or needs to be in a different seat, you need to move relatively quickly, though always thoughtfully.
Quickly but thoughtfully. That sounds tricky.
It is. It means balancing empathy for the individuals involved with very clear, firm performance expectations for the team as a whole. Having those honest, sometimes difficult conversations. Making personnel choices that serve the collective goal. But the takeaway is pretty straightforward. Right team equals right results. Without the right people and the right configuration, even the most brilliant strategy is likely to fail.
That makes sense. And that leads nicely into the idea that your influence isn't just limited to the people who report directly to you.
Right.
How do you gain support across the organization? Build those bridges.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Your formal authority often only gets you so far. This is where Watkins talks about the need to create coalitions.
Coalitions, like political alliances.
In a way, yes. He emphasizes that your success, especially on bigger initiatives, often hinges far more on your ability to influence than on your direct authority.
So how do you build them?
It means first identifying who your key stakeholders are. Who has a vested interest in what you're doing, or who could block it? This could be peers in other departments, leaders in other functions, maybe even key external partners. And then you actively build alliances with them. It takes time and effort. You need to invest in those relationships, understand their perspectives, find common ground, build trust. Work across the silos, as they say.
Breaking down those organizational barriers?
Exactly. These coalitions are how you get broad buy-in for your plans, how you overcome resistance, how you drive change that actually sticks beyond just your immediate team. The key idea is to influence across silos through coalitions, recognizing that collaboration and shared interests are often way more powerful than just giving orders.
This sounds like a lot. I mean, Diagnosing the situation, learning rapidly, building a team, securing wins, negotiating with your boss, aligning the organization, building coalitions. It sounds incredibly demanding.
It is, no question.
Which brings us neatly to phase 5, sustaining yourself and others. Leaders going through this intense transition period must be under immense pressure. How do they avoid just burning out or making bad calls because they're exhausted?
This is so important, and it's where the principle of keep your balance comes in. Transitions are, by their nature, high-stress, high-stakes periods. The risk of burnout or just making poor reactive decisions under pressure is really high.
So what's the advice?
It's about consciously maintaining perspective, actively managing your own energy levels, physical, mental, emotional, establishing personal routines that support your well-being, whether that's exercise or meditation or just carving out protected time to step back and think strategically away from the constant firefighting.
Go off the hamster wheel for a bit.
Exactly. You have to intentionally step back. You simply can't lead effectively if you're running on empty, constantly reacting instead of proactively shaping things.
Makes sense. And finally, what about everyone else? The people around you, your peers, your team members, they might be going through transitions too or reacting to the changes you're making. How do you support them?
This is the final piece, accelerate everyone, and it highlights this crucial ripple effect. Watkins makes the point that transitions are contagious.
Contagious. How so?
Well, your success isn't just about your own personal journey. It actually hinges significantly on helping others around you transition effectively, too. That could be your direct reports adapting to new roles or expectations, peers adjusting to changes you're driving, even helping your own boss manage the shifts.
So it's not just about my 90 days.
Not at all. By actively coaching, mentoring, and helping them navigate their own learning curves and adjustments, you build this culture of shared learning and adaptability throughout the organization. It's not just altruism, it directly supports your own success. The core idea is that success multiplies when everyone transitions well. You're creating a rising tide that lifts all boats, including your own.
That's a great way to put it. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's try and pull this all together. If we had to distill the absolute core insights, the biggest takeaways from this deep dive into the first 90 days, what would they be for you listening right now?
Right. If we boil it down, I think there are a few really critical things. First, just truly internalize that transitions are these leverage points. They have a disproportionate impact on your long-term success. What you do in those first 3 months echoes for a long time.
So treat them with respect.
Exactly. Second, ditch the one-size-fits-all mindset. It just doesn't work. You must adapt your approach to the specific situation. Use frameworks like STARS to diagnose before you prescribe action. This is maybe the most common mistake, applying old solutions to new problems.
Diagnose, then act.
Precisely. Third, credibility is like currency. It's incredibly valuable and it compounds. Secure those early visible wins to build it quickly. Don't underestimate the psychological power of that initial momentum.
Got it. What else?
Fourth, relationships are just as vital as your strategy, maybe even more so. Proactively align with your boss, build coalitions with peers and stakeholders. Don't try to go it alone.
Strategy and relationships hand in hand.
Yes. And finally, find that tricky balance between moving fast because you need to show progress and taking the time for structured, systematic learning. Rushing blindly is just as dangerous as moving too slowly. The book really shines, I think, in how it blends these practical frameworks with the messy human realities, the psychology, the politics of leadership transitions.
That's a really powerful summary. A comprehensive guide, really, to navigating these critical moments in a career packed with actionable advice. Thanks so much for walking us through it.
My pleasure. And if we connect this to the bigger picture,
Right.
it raises a really interesting question, I think.
Oh.
Well, in today's world, things change so fast, right? Disruption feels constant. So, in a way, aren't all leaders, maybe all of us, kind of perpetually in a state of transition, even in the same role?
That's an interesting thought.
Think about it. How could you apply these principles, diagnosing the situation, accelerating learning, building coalitions, securing wins, not just when you start a brand new job, but continuously, month after month, year after year, to stay adaptable, build resilience, and just keep growing throughout your whole career? It maybe shifts from, first 90 days thing to a continuous transition mindset.
A mindset for perpetual evolution. I like that. That's a fantastic thought to leave our listeners with. It really reframes the whole model, doesn't it?
I think it could.
So I encourage you listening to reflect on that. Where can these powerful principles apply in your own work life, whether you are starting something new or maybe just looking to refresh your impact right where you are? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time.